Welcome to our explanation or detailed explanation to the Middle East 3 Haram tour. Reason for this video is because we are either out of the country or we are a bit occupied, and we thought it would be best to present the traveler or the potential traveler with some context to the travels, and that has brought us here today. When you're sitting in your living room, in your office, wherever you are, and I'm sitting here on the other side of the camera. Let's start with discussing the theme of the trip, the theme of the Middle East 3 Haram trip. So, the theme of this specific trip is to try and give the traveler the understanding of how Islam spread through the Middle East. As many of you know, most of you know, Islam started in Mecca. It from then spread through the Middle East. But during the time in Mecca, the Muslims were suffering so much persecution that in the beginning of the propagation of the message, Nabi Muhammad ﷺ had to send 2 delegations at different times to Ethiopia. Right? So how did it come that Islam grew to such a superpower that it managed to spread all the way through the Middle East at that time and today throughout the world? Right? So this specific 3 Haram tour dives into uncovering and bringing to the attention to detail for the traveler of how Islam managed to do that at that particular time. So the journey starts off in Egypt.
My name is Zubair Jacobs, and what I'll be covering today is the itinerary and the places that we'll be visiting, along with the inclusions and exclusions. We will be traveling with Ethiopian Air, departing on the 14th of December, inshallah. It's all quite smooth. It's not a long layover. It's a 2-hour layover between the flights. After you arrive in Addis, there will be a 2-hour layover connecting for your flight to Cairo. So we start off in Cairo. From Addis, we'll take our flight directly to Cairo, where we will spend 3 nights in Cairo. After visiting so many ziyarats in Cairo, which Ibrahim will address later on in the session, we will be traveling to Nuweiba, which is about an 8-hour journey in a fully air-conditioned luxury bus. From Nuweiba, in Nuweiba we'll be spending 2 nights, so we'll be located on the Red Sea. We will be enjoying the resort style accommodation, and from Nuweiba, after relaxing there for 2 nights, because it is a long drive coming from Cairo, we decided we're going to break the drive and just relax for a couple of nights. After spending 2 nights in Nuweiba, we'll be taking our drive to the Taba border, which is about an hour, and then from there we'll make our way to Jerusalem, Masjid al-Aqsa, where we'll be spending 4 nights. We'll be spending 4 nights in Jerusalem, including a Jumu'ah there. We would have a ziyarat going for the bus for the day, a day ziyarat of the Holy Lands, and then of course we've got a walking ziyarat as well, which will take about a half a day, which is included in our itinerary. After Jerusalem, we then make our way to Amman, stopping at the borders about an hour from Jerusalem. Just also FYI that the border taxes are included in this particular itinerary. After our stay in Jerusalem, we'll be making our way to the border of Allenby, before going to Amman. So in Amman, we will be spending 3 nights in Amman, and Amman is filled with ziyarats. So there's too many to mention, which Ibrahim will address later on in the session as well. From Amman, we'll be making our way to Medina, which is the longest drive on the itinerary. So to ensure that you would have the most comfortable journey, we arranged a luxury VIP bus, which seats only about 25 seats. So if we're going to be a bus of 40, we would be splitting the bus into two to make sure that you have the most comfortable drive, and of course with regular stops along the way. And this will be an overnight drive. So we leave Amman in the early, around midday, and then we make our way to Medina. It will be overnight. We arrive in Medina the following day, where we will spend 6 nights in Medina, of course, our beloved city, where we will be spending, we'll be having a Jummah as well. From Medina, we will make our way to Makkah. We'll be spending what will be the pinnacle of the journey. We'll be making Umrah, and we'll be spending 6 nights, including a Jummah as well, in Makkah. Just to touch on accommodation. Accommodation in Cairo is at our Cleopatra Hotel, which we've been staying for the past few years. Alhamdulillah, it is a very nice, decent hotel that is close by, just opposite the Egyptian Museum. So it is in the downtown city center, which is surrounded by many shops and stores and food places. So it's the ideal place to be located. So we're looking forward there. Looking forward to be there in Cairo downtown. We'll be staying at the resort in Nuweiba for 2 nights. So there you would enjoy the resort feel to your accommodation. From Nuweiba, staying in our accommodation in Masjid Al-Aqsa is very basic. So the place is called the Golden Gate Hotel. The idea here was there is many accommodation outside the walls, and we try to, because of our experiences, we felt, and we're feeling still going forward, that the best place to be when you're in Jerusalem is to be in the walls of the old city. And for that, we've confirmed our accommodation at the Golden Gate, which is walking distance to the Haram Sharif, Masjid Al-Aqsa. And this is where you want to be. You're actually you're walking back into biblical times. You're experiencing the smells, the noises, the taste of Masjid Al-Aqsa. You're right in there where it's all happening. So you wouldn't want to be anywhere else. And this is where we made sure that we are located in the walls of the old city. And we have breakfast included in all these accommodation as well. From our place accommodation in Jerusalem, we would be going to Jordan. In Amman, the city capital of Jordan, where we'll be staying for 3 nights in Jordan, filled as well with ziyarats as mentioned. Where we will have, we'll be staying in downtown. So this whole idea and the whole theme or objective of this specific tour is to stay where it's actually happening, where you don't want to sit out in the mountain or in some far city where all in terms of location. So location was paramount here to ensure that you get the best experience here. In Medina, we'll be staying right in front of the Prophet ﷺ's qabr. That is right in front of the Green Dome, dead center. The place is called One Hotel, and it is very close in terms of walking onto the tiles. You're on the first street going onto the tiles before you reach the Haram. At this hotel in Medina, breakfast is not included. This is important to note. Alternatively, there is the option, if you'd like to add breakfast, you can just contact us and we will arrange that for you. Of course, at additional cost. The food places is located the nice food, so you would get your curries and your biryanis and your Pakistani and your Bangladeshi foods all on this side of the Haram, opposed to going to your big franchises that's all on the other side, and obviously a bit more expensive on that side as well. In Makkah, we'll be staying in Dar al-Iman, which is actually called Imar Grand Hotel. This is located about 800 meters on a flat road, Ibrahim Khalil Street. Here we will also not include breakfast. There are no shuttles going to the Haram. It's a very busy road if you're not familiar with Ibrahim Khalil Street, but it's a very popular road where all your stores and food places are located. This is walkable distance to the Haram. We also have the upgrade option in Makkah, where we will be staying at the Dar al Iman Royal Hotel located in the Safwa building, Safwa Towers, just opposite the Haram. So this is very close by for those that don't want to walk and that wants to stay really close, of course, at the additional cost as well. So you can inquire with us what that cost would be for your upgrade option in Makkah.
This is basically to give you an overview of the ziyarats that we will be doing in Egypt, in Palestine, in Jordan, and when we enter into Saudi, inshallah. So in Egypt, we will be visiting the qabrs of Imam Shafi, we will be visiting the qabr of Sayyidina Nafisa, we will be visiting the qabr of Sayyidina Zainab. From there, we will be visiting the masjid of Amr bin al-As as well, right? So this is very important for our understanding of how Islam spread through the Middle East. As you know, the commander of the army at that time when Egypt was conquered by the Muslims was Amr bin al-As, and that links up perfectly, but we're not going to get into it with this discussion, how Islam managed to spread to Morocco and Spain. Right, that we'll deal with in our Morocco and Spain trip, but let's stick to the Middle East 3 Haram package, inshallah. So, Egypt plays a fundamental role in this whole journey, right? Because we basically, the theme of the trip is to try and show the client how Islam spread through the Middle East. And it started in Mecca, and it came to Egypt, from Egypt it spread. So we will have a look at this back to front. So we will work from Egypt, we will go to Aqsa, we will go to Jordan, we will visit Tabuk, we will do Khaybar, and then we will go to Medina and Makkah. We're doing the whole thing in reverse. By the time we reach Makkah, inshallah, we would like to have the traveler have the understanding of how Islam spread through the Middle East. So to touch on some of the ziyarats, as we have mentioned earlier, that we will be visiting in Cairo specifically, would be Imam Shafi, as many of you know, a giant in Islam, Sayyidina Nafisa, who's the great-granddaughter of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sayyidina Zainab, that is the daughter of Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anh, and Sayyidina Fatima, that is buried in Egypt. From there, we will then have a few touristic places that we will visit as well. We wouldn't want to be in Egypt and not make use of visiting the pyramids. We will also get the opportunity for the people that would like to, they can visit the Egyptian Museum as well. After our 3 nights in Cairo, we will then make our way to Nuweiba. So Nuweiba is the coastal city of Egypt, right? Nuweiba is basically that we use as a stopover to not make the drive as long if we had to drive directly from Cairo to Palestine. So we use Nuweiba for 2 nights, but when we're at the resort in Nuweiba, about 100 kilometers from our resort, there's a place called Jabal Musa, and that is said to be the place where Nabi Musa received the 10 commandments. For the people fit enough, we would climb that mountain, inshallah. We would make Fajr on top of the mountain and we'll make our way back down again. After the 2 nights in Nuweiba, we will be at the resort. We will then make our way to Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, we will visit the ziyarats that we will be doing there. Firstly is to do a walking ziyarat so that we can be orientated within the old city that we will be staying at, and we will be able to know our way around the old city and know about all the historic places that is situated within the old city. The following day we will then do our ziyarats, which will be to the masjid of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. When Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam is buried, Sayyidina Sarah is buried, Nabi Ishaq is buried, the wife of Nabi Ishaq alayhi salam is buried there as well. From there we will go and visit the maqam of Nabi Yunus alayhi salam, the maqam of Nabi Musa alayhi salam. We will then make our way to Jericho as well. From Jericho we will visit the Mount of Olives where Salman al-Fasri is buried, and the maqam of Rabi al-Basri. But all of this on the first, on the day of ziyarat in Jerusalem, we will start it off at Jabal Mukabbir. So Jabal Mukabbir is the mountain of greatness, and this is the mountain when Sayyidina Umar came to receive the keys of Jerusalem. Jabal Mukabbir is the mountain that he stood on, and he looked down at the city of Jerusalem and he proclaimed the takbir. And after that day, that mountain was called Jabal Mukabbir. More of the history, more of the details we will touch on when we're at the ziyarat place, inshallah. But this is just to give you an understanding of the places that we will be visiting when we're on this trip. After our 4 nights in Jerusalem, we will make our way to Amman, to Jordan. Jordan is filled with history. I can remember the first time I went to Jordan, we were there for 2 weeks. And of that 2 weeks, every day was filled with ziyarat places that we visited. Jordan has a huge amount of history, Islamic history within the country. For this particular trip, we have minimized all the ziyarat places that we went to the very first time, whereas when we just visit, or when we try to stick to the theme of our trip, which is how Islam spread through the Middle East, which makes us then go to many of the Sahaba that was buried there, the battles that took place. A very important battle that took place was the Battle of Mutta. And for many of our people, they may have heard the story of Jafar ibn Abi Talib, when his one arm was cut off and he took the sword in his other arm and that arm was cut off. So this is the particular battle where that happened. And this is situated in Mutta in Jordan. So we will be visiting the battlefield of Mutta. We will relay the whole story there, inshallah. We will then also visit the martyrs of the day of Mutta, which is Jafar ibn Abi Talib. We will visit the grave of the adopted son of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Zayd ibn Haritha. From there, we will visit some of the Ashra Mubashara that is buried in Amman. And after our 3 days, 3 nights in Amman, we make our way to Saudi. So traveling on this particular tour to Saudi, we travel by bus. And this all links in to the theme of the trip, because it is very crucial, because when we drive in, we pass the cities of Tabuk and we pass the city of Khaybar. So this is very 2 crucial cities that made Islam spread through the Middle East. To take you back 1400 years plus, when the Muslims migrated to Medina, they made hijrah to Medina. The Makkans, they didn't like it, right? And at the time when the Muslims came to Medina, they found the Jews in Medina. That made, and the Jews wasn't too happy about Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam arriving, and he was Arab, because they thought he was going to be one of them, the final messenger. They recognized that he was the final messenger, but they didn't want to accept it. The Muslims then came, the Quraysh then came, and the Battle of Badr happened. After the Battle of Badr happened, the Battle of Uhud happened. This is just to streamline through the whole process of events at that particular time, to make you understand why Khaybar and why Tabuk are so crucial, and why the drive into Medina is of utmost importance for this particular trip, for the traveler to get an understanding of how Islam spread through the Middle East. So you have Medina in the middle, you have Makkah to the south of Medina, and you have Khaybar to the north of Medina, right? So after the Battle of Khandaq, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam then dispels the Jews from Medina, and they then reside in Khaybar, which put the Muslims in a difficult position at this time, because they have the enemy now on either side of them. If they move to the south, which is Makkah, right, they leave Medina exposed for the Jews to attack from the north. And if they move to the north, they leave Medina exposed for the Makkans to attack from the south. So what do they do in this situation? You know, I think the rest of the story will continue on the journey. But this is a crucial time in history, because this is where the tables turn. When the Muslims was in a tight situation of what to do. Carrying on, we'll visit Tabuk, we will visit Khaybar, we will relate the stories that happen in both of these cities. From there we'll make our way to Medina, inshallah, and in Medina, we in the beloved city, we in the city of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we will do all the ziyarats that is pertaining to the city of Medina, the battle of Uhud that happened there, the battle of Handak that happened there. We will do a walking ziyarat, we'll visit Masjid al-Qiblatain, we'll visit Masjid al-Quba, and from there we will make our way to Makkah, inshallah. So this is where the whole story gets concluded. But by the time we enter Saudi, the people would have an understanding already of how Islam spread through the Middle East, which is the theme of our trip. And when we get to Makkah, inshallah, we will conclude the whole story, because this is where it started.
For all our packages, there's obviously inclusions and exclusions on the journey. So let's just go straight into it on the inclusions of our Middle East and 3 Haram tour. Number one would be your flights, accommodation, visas, border taxes, very important, that are included as well. So you don't have to fork out additional money for your border taxes. Including would be breakfast you would have in Cairo, you would have in breakfast you would have in Cairo, you would have in Jordan, and you'll have in Jerusalem, Masjid al-Aqsa. In half board plan would be breakfast and dinner would be in Nuwayba, and then in, as stated, you would not have breakfast included for Medina and Makkah. Alternatively, you could change your meal plan accordingly. You can just contact us for more information with regards to that. Exclusions would be your tips, and your travel insurance will be excluded as well. So we've got a preferred supplier if you would like to inquire with regards to that. Alternatively, you can use your own personal travel insurance. Tips are excluded, so as you know, for guides and for drivers and so forth, that's always been appreciated to give them something, so that is excluded, as well as drinks and of course other meals that's stipulated on the itinerary, that's included. The over and above your personal expenses would be excluded as well. There are a few sightseeing places that's not included. So we allocated days for, like for Cairo, we would have the pyramids that cost about $25. $25 for your cruise on the Nile, which is including a nice buffet dinner and entertainment. And then we've got 50 dinars, which is Jordanian dinars in Petra, that is not included. So if we do allocate a day for those that would like to experience Petra, alternatively it's not compulsory, so you don't have to do the actual tour of Petra. But if you do intend, which is a fantastic experience, it is 50 dinars. Our Middle East and 3 Haram tour has been our bestseller and our most popular tour since inception. I need to express and stress that there are limited seats for this December upcoming tour. So to ensure that you have your seat secured, contact our office. Details are below on the screen, or you can email us as well, and then we will advise the way forward, inshallah.
So why the Middle East 3 Haram package? To me, personally, this is one of the tours that I love the most, that is closest to my heart. It gives you a balanced approach. Number one, you're visiting so many ziyarat places. You get the understanding of how Islam spread through the Middle East. You get to visit the pyramids. You get to visit Petra. You get to do a cruise on the Nile, right? You get to visit the resort. And with all of this, you're still learning so much about the Deen of Islam. So who is this trip for? I think the eldest person that we had traveling with us was a 80-year-old man, and the youngest person that we had traveling with us was a 4-year-old. Teenagers enjoyed this trip so much because it showed them the balance within the deen of Islam. And to top it all off, right, to end this beautiful experience, you end it by visiting the Qabr of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you get to perform Umrah. So this trip is basically for anybody that would like to know a bit more about the history of Islam and is looking for a balanced trip that they can go out, go sightseeing, and they can perform it with the Umrah, this trip, and not just the Umrah, and visit Masjid al-Aqsa, inshallah. So if that is your intention, then this trip is for you.